Hi, this is Padma from Collegenomics. Let's talk a little bit about the tests, SAT, ACT and AP. So what are these tests and how are they different from each other? When would you use which test over the other? Let's talk a little bit about that. Okay. So SAT is Scholastic Aptitude Test, and I'm sure you've heard of it. SAT is used for college admissions. Getting a good score in your SAT exam, SAT test is very helpful. When you're looking for to join a college which is quite competitive, the admissions are competitive, and where you need to score really well. And ACT is used for a similar purpose. You can write, it's for college admissions. So you can write either the SAT or the ACT. Okay, and in some cases because both the SAT and ACT deal with high school material, but in some cases students choose to write both, though colleges only require one of these scores. But some students choose to do both because it helps them to improve their rigor, because both deal with high school material. But there are differences between the tests. You could always choose to just write one over the other. We'll go over all of those. And the great thing about AP exams is that not only does it help you to stand out in college admissions, but AP exams also help you to get a good earn college credits. Okay. And AP exams, they don't just deal with high school. They actually, the AP course content deals with college level material. And to prepare for the AP exams, basically what you do is there are many AP classroom courses that are conducted by your high schools all over the United States. And then grades are awarded in these classes, and then they help you to prepare for the final AP exam. And in terms of the AP, when you do take these AP classes and the exams, colleges, when you submit these scores, they might not just look at your final AP exam score, but they might also look at the grades that you obtained in your AP classes. So that's something to keep in your mind. But how about if you don't live in the United States, or perhaps your US high school does not conduct AP classes? Then what do you do? In that case, there are AP classroom courses and they are available in a YouTube channel called AP Classroom. So check that out. Okay. And so that will help you to prepare for many of these AP exams. The other way to prepare for AP exams is there are free courses for AP available on edX.org. Check that out. There are many AP exams covered in that. And then there is another Princeton Review also helps you to prepare for AP exams. There are many practice tests available as well. So check all these out. Okay. And if you wanted to prepare for your, now we've spoken about the AP. AP is a little bit different, and we've spoken about how to prepare for it. But first, let's talk about SAT and ACT. When would you choose one over the other? Let's talk about that before we get into how to prepare for the exams. For SAT, like supposing you appear for your SAT or you appear for your ACT, and you think, hey, I got a good score, but I would like to improve that score. In terms of SAT, you will have to retake the entire test all over again. But in terms of the ACT, what you can do is you can there are individual sections in the ACT exam, in the SAT as well, but individual sections like math, then there's English reading, English writing, and then there's science. So in ACT, if you wanted to retest, you could just retest only the specific sections where you would like to improve your score. You don't have to retest for the entire exam. That's one difference between SAT and ACT. Another difference between the two of them is, in terms of English, SAT is mainly looking for your writing style, and it's mainly looking for your writing style and your vocabulary. Okay, English vocabulary. But whereas if you go to the ACT, they're mainly looking for your English grammar and punctuation. So if you're stronger in one of them over the other, you could decide which test you prefer. And another thing to note is, for math, like supposing if you feel like, hey, any kind of calculation, I need to have a calculator with me, then it's better to just choose the ACT, because ACT you can always use a calculator. With the SAT, you can use the calculator for part of the exam, but there are specific sections in the SAT which require you to not have a calculator and do those calculations manually. So this is something to note about the SAT exams. So these are some key differences another difference between SAT and ACT is, SAT is popular worldwide, the SAT general exams. whereas ACT is more popular within the United States. And as far as the AP exams go, they have been gaining in popularity, not just in the US but also worldwide. So that's something to note. AP exams are easier to write even outside the United States. And SAT subject tests are there are different subject tests. There's a general test and subject test, and SAT subject tests can also be written within the US and worldwide. Okay. And okay. Now, another important thing to note recently with the pandemic is that SAT and ACT because it's become so difficult to administer these SAT and ACT tests, there are many colleges which have done away with the requirement for SAT or ACT scores for admissions. So that's something to note. This is for 2021, 2022. It was so for 2020. So if you're looking for specific colleges, you can check with them whether they really require a SAT or ACT score or not. And this is mainly because it has happened because in the pandemic, tests could not be easily administered, and there has been a lot of controversy about can these tests be taken at home, online, are SAT scores valid? And to just do away with this, a lot of colleges have done away with the requirement for SAT and ACT scores for the next few years, 2021, 2022 also. Okay. And we have spoken about a few differences between these tests. Let's talk about how do you prepare for your SAT. For your SAT tests, general test, how you can prepare is, first you could use the Khan Academy. The College Board has a special partnership with Khan Academy for SAT, and they provide a lot of official tests and help you to really gear up for your SAT practice, SAT exams. And ACT also you can use the Khan Academy because it is still high school material. And another place to prepare for the for SAT and another way to prepare for it is apart from these practice exams, even Princeton Review has crash courses on SAT and ACT. So that's one thing to note. But how about if you say that, hey, I'm not yet in the senior year of high school, but I would still like to prepare for the SAT or ACT. One way to do that is there is PSAT exams. In the preparing for the PSAT can be done, writing PSAT exams can be done in your 10th and 11th. To prepare for it, you can again use the Khan Academy, okay, for the SAT. So in previous years you can keep preparing so that you're ready for SAT in after you finish your high school or when you're close to completing high school. And in terms of ACT, if you wanted to really prepare for it and you're not yet in your final year of high school, for the ACT there is a pre-ACT which can be done in your 10th grade. And if you wanted to prepare in your earlier grades, there is an Aspire test which can be you can write those exams anywhere between your 3rd grade to 10th grade. There are different Aspire tests for different grades. You could check that out. But there are students who just do not go with PSAT. I mean, PSAT is definitely helpful. There are students who don't go with the pre-ACT or Aspire. They directly go for the ACT by really preparing well for it, and that's a good approach as well. Okay. And now let's talk about, okay, now we have discussed a lot about these differences. Let's also talk about, hey, what are good scores for the for these different tests. So what scores should you aim for before you can actually present them to the college? Okay, so one is for SAT, the scores are between 400 to 1600, and any any score above 1200 is considered a good SAT score. Okay, SAT general test. And if it was for the SAT subject test, the scores are between 200 to 800, and any score above 600 is a good score. And the SAT general test also has an optional essay section, and for this essay section the score is anywhere between 2 to 8, and any score over 5 is considered a good SAT optional essay test score. Okay, for the ACT, the scores are between it is between 1 to 36. Okay, so each of the individual sections of the ACT will have a score between 1 to 36, and all of them are summarized together cumulatively to give you another score between 1 to 36, and any score above 21 is considered a good ACT score for individual sections and for the final ACT score. And ACT also has a optional essay section, and which the score is between 2 to 12, and any score above 8 is considered a good ACT essay test score. And now for the AP exams, the scores are between 1 to 5, and any score which is 4 or 5 is considered a good good AP score. Okay, so, and another thing to note is with SAT, getting a perfect score, getting an absolutely perfect score is a lot times easier with the AP than with the SAT. So that's another thing to note. So this is all about SAT, ACT and AP exams and SAT subject exams. And if you have any other questions, just post them below, and I wish you all the best in your SAT, ACT and AP tests.